Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's AI news for Still Team Human for August 20, 2026. Educators are facing a real conundrum when it comes to AI. This goes for those teaching K through 12, but also for professors and researchers in higher education. And because it's that time of year and school is on the brain, there has been lots of news on the subject of AI in education. We already discussed OpenAI's announcement about a teen-friendly platform that would prohibit cheating and serve more as a tool for teaching, a tutor for students, a homework helper, if you will. CBS News shared a story about Springside Chestnut Hill Academy in Philadelphia, which is using AI as a quote unquote learning partner. Its aim is to help students practice skills, think critically, and better understand the technology. For instance, students are already using it to practice conversations in French, their language of choice. The school also offers a course on AI, coding, and entrepreneurship to help prepare kids for the future realities that await. Personally, I think this is one of the best uses of AI. This is how I envision it being used by educators. And I have to say, I have used it in similar ways at home with my son, who is 14 years old. This is my older son. I know many of you know about my younger son who is disabled. However, my older son is in about to enter high school. I used it throughout middle school to help teach him things that were difficult for him. And among them were math problems, which I've told you about, where I asked the AI to give us step-by-step instructions and then to practice with us. We used it to create quizzes for tests that he was having. And I did something similar with the Spanish. I actually asked it to become his Spanish tutor. I didn't use it to its full potential in that arena. However, it did help us study for some tests and get the vocabulary down. I'm very excited we're moving on to Italian, which I can help him with a lot more since my husband and I are fluent. My husband is a native speaker, and we also know the dialect of Napoli. So we feel pretty confident that we can help him with the Italian language, but it still could be used as a conversationalist, which is a great way to use AI. You don't always have someone fluent in the other language to practice with you, and AI can certainly do that. It's really great at languages and math, by the way, both of which are kind of formulaic. You learn the grammar rules, you learn the math rules, and you can help. And clearly it's done that. That brings us to our next news story, however. The Washington Post wrote a story about OpenAI's summit with concerned mathematicians who are worried that the technology will arrive at superhuman intelligence and leave them out in the cold. This is something we're hearing about from a lot of professions, but mathematicians are among the first that should be most concerned. This summit was all about the future of research, or the researchers. They wanted to discuss what will be left for the humans to do once the AI arrives at this superhuman intelligence, which it does seem to be approaching, especially when it comes to math. Math is one of the areas in which AI is excelling. There's no question about it. It's taken many standardized tests and scored way above the humans. I believe it's even gotten some perfect scores. And one of the more interesting points in the article, and I imagine at the summit and generally when we're all talking, is the fact that mathematical research is meant to be about humans understanding the results as much as it is about the results themselves. So when it comes to the research, I'd like to think the human curiosity to discover new things won't easily die. I'd like to think that the researchers just might be able to use the AI as a tool too. But the lofty promises of the CEOs, none of which have really come to fruition yet, we should say, But those lofty promises sometimes make it seem like the AI is meant to replace humans rather than just help them. And that's really what we're talking about day in and day out. We humans need purpose and meaning and love in our lives, and none of that is going to come from the machines, period. However, the machines do seem like a threat to that existence, a threat to us having our purpose, our meaning, and even our love. And I worry about all of that. I've talked about this before on the front when it comes to purpose and meaning. Is it going to take our jobs? Well, yes, in some ways it is. It already has begun to. Just talk to recent college grads who were either in the job market at the start of this cycle or who are still looking for jobs because those entry-level positions are being taken up by machines. Talk to people who did secretarial and assistant work that is being done by AI. I know I'm using it that way as well, especially since I'm a small business with no money to share at the moment. My hope is that someday I'll be able to share it with employees, but right now that's not happening. And the AI does provide help with those tasks that once were reserved for entry level roles or even interns. And so it's very hard for young people, I think, to make a way into particular worlds and also to be able to get that experience that they need to have that will help them grow and get them to the next step and the next step. And so we have to think about that. We have to come up with some solutions to those problems. Maybe we should ask AI to help us solve those kinds of problems. I really haven't gotten a good answer from AI when I've asked it about how to keep people in the game, other than, using us for oversight, keeping humans in the loop, and all of that good stuff. For now, we still have a role to play, and I want to keep fighting for that role to continue. So I hope you'll keep joining me on Still Team Human. We'll be back next week with more of today's AI news. Hope you have a great weekend and you stay tuned next week. We'll see you then. And please always like, share, subscribe, and let us know what you're thinking in the comments or through a direct message on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you. Bye for now.